In this episode of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast, my brother James and I, we are going to talk about Alijah Arenas, probably one of the more divisive prospects in the 2027 NBA draft class. And my question for James is, how much should we really judge Alijah Arenas' freshman year? Stay tuned.
Mm.
Yo, what up? This is Rafael Barlow. I am your host of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast, along with my brother James. And like I mentioned in the open, in this episode, we're going to talk about Alijah Arenas, who is one of the more divisive prospects in the 2027 NBA draft class. I know some people that really like him, and I know some people that are just like it's a lot of hype, a lot of fanfare, but no substance. So I just wanted to get James's thoughts on. Like I said, we're going to talk about Alijah Arenas. So let me give you the backstory. Arenas is the son of Gilbert Arenas, and he was a McDonald's All American, highly touted out of high school. Unfortunately, he was in a car accident that he was in. I think he was in a hospital or a coma for like 6 days, and then he came back from that. Then he had like a knee injury. I think it was like a meniscus injury that sidelined him. He didn't start practicing with USC until December. Didn't play his first game until late January. So he was a little rusty. He missed a lot of times, just like time on the court, recovering. So even if you're like the biggest Alijah Arenas skeptic, you have to factor in that he just didn't have much of an off season and he was rusty. His rhythm and his timing was off. So with that being said, he had, I wouldn't say he had a good freshman year. I mean, if you just look at the numbers, they were definitely not good as far as the efficiency, the shot selection. And again, the question is, how much should we judge him by his freshman year? He played just 14 games, averaged 14 points, 2.9 rebounds, 2.1 assists on 34, 21, 79 shooting splits. So my question for you, James, starting off is, how do you evaluate Alijah Arenas?
I evaluate Elijah Arenas two different parts. I I give him a pass, somewhat of a pass for his freshman season. Obviously, he got hurt. I mean, the car accident, like that's a lot to deal with, both physically and mentally. You got to think at 19 years old, what kind of basketball adversity has he ever really faced? Right, we saw what he was doing in California. It was super easy. He was doing 360 layups seemingly every game. Right, then you face some adversity where you get in a car accident, the coma. That was very scary. I think they induced him into a coma because he inhaled, I believe, the fumes from the car. Right, that was like a precautionary thing. Either way, that's terrible. So again, you go through the car accident. I'm sure that shakes you up because you've been superhuman your whole life, and at that point you weren't superhuman. Then he gets hurt. I get all of that. And again, no real off season. I mean, there was even talks of him not playing his freshman year because of the knee injury on top of the car accident. And he didn't put out a good product at USC. But how he played at USC is like how he plays, which is heavy isolation, a lot of tough jump shots, uh, you know, tons of creativity, used to having the ball in his hands. I think that is how he plays. And because that is how he plays, he is a very tough eval for me. Now, if you say that's how he plays, and that was a terrible season by all accounts because of the efficiency was because he didn't have an off season and he was rusty and all, I totally understand. But like, if that's how he plays, what's his best case scenario? He's more efficient, but it's still a lot of tough shots, negative assist to turnover ratio. and but it's not all bad. But like I said, it's just he's a difficult evaluation because of his playing style. And again, even if you throw out his USC season, if you cut on his Compton Magic tape, the same shots that he was taking at USC were the same shots he took playing for the Compton Magic. He just made more of them. And okay, if he's making those contested shots, if he's making those dead ball ISOs, how does that translate to the NBA?
Yeah, those are good questions. So I'll share my scouting report first. I put that as far as like his size, I think he has good NBA positional size for
I
the
think he has a
position
great
that.
NBA. He's 6'7" and he's a
Yep,
shooting guard. That's
yep.
great.
For that position, I love the offensive creativity off the dribble. I am a fan of offensive creativity. I love guys that can create space and get their own bucket. There's some shifty ball handling. He can stop and pop and elevate over defenders. He can get to his spots. He shows that he can make like the step backs, the pull ups. I love his confidence. I'm a big confidence guy, and that's something that he does not lack at all. He's not one of those guys that's gun shy, and you say, "Oh man, you know what? He passed over that shot. He lost his confidence." Don't have to worry about that with Alijah Arenas. I think he's a good athlete in the open floor, not explosive or twitchy. I think there is some upside there as a defender when he's engaged. I think he can defend. He's not just all offense. I seen him like pick up guys full court. I seen him fight through screens and make some effort to contest shots. All right, now here are the concerns. Thin frame definitely needs to get stronger, which is expected for a freshman. But he was crazy inefficient from the floor. He shot just 41% at the rim. All right, how much is that due to maybe just lack of like vertical pop around the rim? How much of that is rust and timing, lack of strength? But 41% at the rim is one of the lowest I've ever seen for an NBA prospect. He shot just 28% on jumpers. Again, this is a guy whose game is really heavily dependent on him shooting jumpers. 29% on catch and shoot threes. The shot selection, which usually comes with a crazy confident player, it's hard to find a guy that is extremely confident in himself that always takes good shots. I just think that just goes along with being confident is sometimes you're a little too confident, but the majority of his shots were contested jumpers. I felt like if I were team game planning against him, he was pretty predictable. You know what he's gonna do. Um, I put that he's fast, but not like vertically explosive. He's a ball stopper. He has a tendency to pass up catch and shoot jumpers, to take the contested pull up, or maybe it's like I saw one play. It was like he was open, but he passed it up to take the shot fake sidestep three. I put he doesn't like to pass, and I think his dad has said that before about his passing. He had a negative assist to turnover ratio. So with that being said, I get why he's a difficult eval because how much of that is, like you said, his play style, and then how much of it was the rust. And I think it's a combination of both. But if you're an NBA scout for a team, as of right now, you're trying to weigh which one was the stronger indicator of who he is. So I want to hear your scouting report.
Two parts. All right. I mentioned, like you mentioned, the size at 6'7". That's great. I very crafty scorer. I call him a striding athlete, which is kind of like what you said. It's not a lot of vertical, but he takes long steps to get to where he needs to get to the basket. I think he has a very good, very good handle, but he turns the ball over. Not because his handle isn't strong, it's because of the decisions that he makes with his handle. I mentioned he's not looking to pass at all. I think he has very good footwork, lots of pivots, and he draws fouls. But at the same time, it takes him a lot of dribbles to sometimes get loose. Maybe some of that is because his first step isn't explosive. I mean, he's not his dad as far as like having his first step. And I said in my statistical notes, he took at USC, he took 110 jumpers. 72 of them were off of the dribble. and he shot 42% at the rim, negative assist turnover ratio, super tunnel vision. When you turn the film on, when he does shoot a catch and shoot jumper, is extremely flat. And okay, so again, I'm not saying can't judge him solely off of USC for the things that I went on about earlier for the first 10 minutes of this pod. But and then that 17 game sample, I believe it was, playing for the Compton Magic, he took 48 jumpers, 39% of them were off the dribble. That's basically like 90% of his jumpers are off the dribble, which means he doesn't want to, he's turning down catch and shoot shots. Yeah, he was much better at the rim playing for the Compton Magic, but again, that's high school, that's a different level. I say this about Alijah Arenas. If you can rewire him, that's a huge if. But if you can rewire him into being a play-making wing with his handle, with his size, with his slashing ability, with his ability to get to the rim, he is a top, he has the talent to be a top 10 player in this draft.
I've
I don't
seen somebody put him at number one.
I can't get down with that. I don't. Even if we completely burn the film from his freshman year, he does not want to pass. But I'm saying this: if you could turn him into like a pick and roll playmaking wing, then he's a top 10 talent in this draft. Because again, he's a very good defender and he wants to play defense. And most of the time, kids who are wired to score that way, they don't want to play any defense. He
Yeah.
wants to play defense. It's almost like, to compare him to another USC kid, DeMar DeRozan was just he was an athletic dunker coming out of USC who turned himself into as he gotten a lot older, a playmaking wing. Can you speed up that process with Alijah Arenas? Like, if I were in charge of Alijah Arenas this last summer, hey man, we're not dribbling full court on 8 dudes again. It looks cool and it's helpful, but we're not doing that again. It's all pick and roll reads. If you can just do that, and like the efficiency off the catch, would love to see that improve. But man, maybe that takes a little bit more time. But if he comes back this year, Raf, as a pick and roll playmaker, then and especially this draft, I think he's a top like 10 talent. It's just, can you rewire a kid who has been programmed to play aesthetically pleasing, difficult basketball his
And to
whole
be
life?
heavily featured.
Heavily featured. Can you do that? I don't know.
Let's talk about the flashes versus the efficiency. Like, he had some games there. I want to say there was like a stretch of like 4 games where he scored over 20 points. And then after that, there's like one 20-point game after that. And then, so there were some flashes there, but just the overall efficiency was rough. Again, 34, 21 from the floor and from deep. What, like, if you were trying to figure out which is the better indicator of him, are you going with the flashes or the lack of efficiency?
Well, here's the thing. In the games that he was scoring 20, it was 9 of 23 shooting. 8 of 17, you absolutely take that. Then it was a 6 of 19 game. But I think the flashes from those games are his ability to get to the free throw line. One of those games,
Right.
the 6 of 19 game, he took 16 free throws. That's great. You're gonna have bad shooting games. You're gonna have off nights. Don't ever take me saying a kid is inefficient as me expecting someone to be a perfect basketball player. That's definitely not the case. When your shot is off, can you get to the line? My thing with Alijah Arenas is it came to the point last year when I was watching USC games. I didn't watch him. I watched his teammates. What did his teammates look like when he had the ball? Are your hands up ready to shoot? Or are you just watching him dribble in circles? And what is it? And again, what does it matter if he's getting fouled if he's taking on 4 defenders and not making the right play? So, like, I don't put a ton of stock in him scoring 20 if he had like 34% usage that game and he didn't pass to anybody. Like you're supposed to get 20 when you take 20 something shots and then on top of it take 10 free throws. So it's like again, the flashes to me are man, he uses his handle to split or he does some really NBA level stuff with his footwork to create offense for himself. He just has to learn that okay, I created this space, I drew two, kick to the corner, or I definitely need to take these catch and shoot threes because those are easy shots. But like I said, he's him being number one is crazy to me. But he would have to be like new hardware. He just got to get a whole new computer to be the number one pick. It's not even you can't put a new chip into that kid. Like he has to be a whole different player for him to be number one, in my opinion.
All right.
It
What
could
do you
be
think
done
his
though,
NBA
too. Though
role is?
it could be done though.
Yeah.
You
What
can
would you
go ahead
what would you say his NBA role is?
today.
Best case scenario.
All right, if he
I
figures
mean, you
it
kind of
out,
hinted at it, but like best case scenario, like what would his NBA role be?
I think best case scenario, he's a man. I think he's a playmaking wing off of the bench on some like Karis LeVert type stuff. Where
Okay.
when he has it going, man, that dude is cold. When he doesn't have it going, all right, man, we gotta. It's not your night tonight. But like Karis is what 6'7". Karis is
Mm-hmm.
extremely crafty, but Karis learned how to play pick and roll basketball. And Karis plays off of 2 feet, a lot of jump stuff. Man, I was cooking, dog. That Karis LeVert one really might stick.
Yeah,
Karis is
that was a good one.
a lot of 2 foot pivots, kind of like Elijah does. But again, Karis can pass the basketball and he can operate as your what the nerds call it? Heliocentric guy off the bench, right? What position does Karis play when he has it going? Give him the ball. But it's not just ISO, it's pick and roll, make a couple plays. Karis is extremely streaky as a shooter. I think that's what Alijah Arenas has the talent and ability. If he fixes some things, he can be that kind of player.
Do you think he can impact winning if he's not scoring?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I think he's that good of a defender. Has the wait. I think he has that level of talent of defense because he's 6'7". He's got long arms and he'll sit in a chair and guard. Like I said before, I think he's one of the few guys who are, super offensively gifted, not offensively efficient, but offensively gifted who will play defense. And I think he has the ability. Now, again, we're talking about basketball adversity. That's a big jump to go from, 360 layup man to go
He
guard.
shot one. He
He
shot some last
he
season.
shot one the first game of the season. What you mean he shot one?
I think it was one against like I don't know if it's like
It was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
It was
Yeah.
Wisconsin. It was his first game of the season. He pushed double tap circle to pull that off. But what does it look like? And if he doesn't adjust his game and he goes 25 in this draft, right? And he has to figure out how to play basketball again in the NBA. But he is like, okay, I'm going to defend. What does it look like him on the offensive end when they're not letting him do all that stuff? That's going to be a huge adjustment to make if he doesn't make it sooner than later.
All right. So this summer he should have a normal off season and plenty of time to prepare for the season. What are some things you would like to see from him? I know we've discussed a few of them already, but what do you, as an evaluator, what do you want to see from Alijah Arenas this season?
All right, so let's say, for example, the pick and roll ball handler leap is too much to adjust to in one off season. Watch film. Watch two things when you watch film. All right, you drew the defense because he draws guys. Make that extra pass. Make that kick. You don't got to shoot. He loves to shoot turnaround jumpers in the paint. But the way that college basketball is set up, you shoot turnaround. You're never shooting a turnaround jumper in the paint with one guy on you. It's always three because the floor is so much smaller. And then you already have the reputation as a dude who's not going to pass the ball. So now it's like that picture of Kobe shooting over like the entire Houston Rockets team on the baseline, right? But if the pick and roll leap is too big for him to make, right? I'm gonna shout out to Nora Rad. I got another Matt Abel take. I'm gonna say that for maybe I'll hint towards that at the end. But if the pick and roll read is too much for you to make, drive and kick assists. It all works the same. When you are a ball handler and the team believes that you're going to pass, then the defense has to respect you. And then also again, another to me should be easy thing to fix is playing off the catch. Like 90% of your jumpers are off the dribble, right? If you are you're able to knock down, catch and shoot corner shots, catch and shoot wing shots in transition, then the game becomes easier. Now, Elijah Arenas, you're on the wing, your feet are set, you're ready to shoot. Okay, he has good touch. If he's a 33% three-point shooter next year, right? And they respect you because you're excuse me, Elijah Arenas, you're a scorer. You're not somebody we're just leaving wide open. Not at the college level. It doesn't work like that. In college and NBA, they would do that. All right, chase you off the line. Now that one dribble pull up is a good shot. Now that dribble drive is there. Now you're playing team basketball. Now your teammates look like they want to play with you. And again, but let me say this real quick, Ralph. Any like criticism that I have of Elijah Arenas is about him, the basketball player. I came across him like we were in Brooklyn that year for McDonald's, right?
Yep.
He walked out the hallway. Yo, he shook everybody's hand. He shook my hand. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. People that know him say he's a great kid.
Yeah, I've heard A plus kid, just the nicest
The best
kid. I've
kid
just heard
ever.
nothing but great things about him. Yep.
So yeah, let me make sure that this does not come off as like people think a certain way about his dad. I don't know his dad either outside of what he does on the internet. But from what that one interaction with him and what I've heard people say about him, he's a great kid. I just want to make sure that is emphasized in here as well as he needs to pass the ball.
Yep. So for me, I think what he should have focused on this offseason, or what I would like to see from him, is one, better shot selection. Find a way to simplify it. I know, some of the shots that he took are the shots he's been taking, and I know and I've heard his dad mention something along the lines of he wanted him to go to a high school or situation where he didn't have a bunch of good teammates. He wanted him to be able to lead. And so I think that he was used to that role to where you're going to get up enough shots to where if you start off cold, you can heat up and you can take bad shots because that's your role. So his game is going to have to scale down. And then I would say he needs to improve, like you said, as a shooter. I mean, of course, 21%. I mean, that's obvious. But become a better shooter off the catch. I think getting stronger and becoming a better finisher at the rim. And maybe even add a little bit of a floater. Because I know he's not super vertically explosive where he's going to be playing above the rim. And he's thin. So making those soft touch finishes and floaters, I think that would be very valuable to add to his game. More playmaking, simple, and fewer turnovers. At least give me a
1-to-1.
1-to-1. Yeah, 1.3-to-1. It can't be underwater. It cannot be underwater. And the question is, if the efficiency dramatically improves, how high can he go?
I think like I said, I think he could be a top 10 pick. He's that talented. This draft is that wide open. And again, I think that I am putting together a big board, and I feel really comfortable about 8 guys, right? Where I'm like, you know what, these are our lottery picks. And then 9, like I said last time, Ralph, 9 through 35. That's a huge, It's a huge range. But the thing is with this USC team though, right, they're talented. So you can't play selfish basketball. KJ Lewis has had success playing college basketball, right? The
Yep.
Ratliff brothers are there. Man, listen, if
Yep.
you play pick and roll with the Ratliff brothers, that dude, one of them is shooting a three every single time. You could
Yeah,
just
pick and
back
roll.
that
You mean just pick and pop?
pick and pop.
Just
Yeah,
pick
my
and pop.
fault. Pick and pop.
Yeah.
That's he's Channing Frye, right?
Or if Muscleman can get them to roll, if
Nah, they're not
Muscleman,
rolling.
if Eric Muscleman can get the Ratliff twins to roll hard to the rim and get Alijah Arenas to buy into being a better passer, coach of the year.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Coach of the year.
But even before that, like I said, they got a lot of guys. This is not the year to you to be selfish. This is exactly the year you want to be like, oh, okay, I can trust these guys, make me look better. So I said the Ratliff twins. They got Jacob Kofi. He is on draft radars. NBA player at some point, G League guy, maybe. Right? Christian Collins was a 5-star recruit.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody mentioned Eric Ribe. I believe he got hurt.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just heard that a couple days ago.
yeah, so he got hurt. I don't know what his timeline is, but like they got a bunch. They have talent, so you don't have to hoop with a cape on. Is what I'm saying, because like you want to be able to play, prove to the scouts you can play winning basketball. You can clean up your efficiency because you have all the talent. And like, I mean, you got the Ratliff twins. They might block shots. It's kind of hit or miss with whether how they feel about protecting the rim. But like, if I'm Elijah, I'm like, yo, I'm picking up. I'm guarding the best player every night. Like there's such I wouldn't say easy, but there's such a navigable path to the NBA for him. It's just, can you rewire that kid?
All right, Norrin Rad in the comments said Matt Abel over Alijah Arenas. Thoughts?
I don't think that's far fetched. On my Because of how he plays, right? I have Matt Abel one spot ahead of Alijah Arenas. But like I hinted before, just a teaser. Why is there a big gap between Matt Abel and Braylon Mullins in life? Some people think Braylon Mullins is a lottery pick. What does he do better than Matt Abel?
Yeah, he's a guy that people are saying the flashes with that he got off to a slow start. I think he also had like an ankle injury or something like that, so he didn't get off to a hot start. There's some people that thought he was going to be a one and done guy.
Man, listen,
Um,
Matt Abel played for a team that just hooped, and that North Carolina State team, like they just hooped. They ran a couple plays. They weren't a good defensive team. He's a better defender than Braylon Mullins. He shot better from three. I almost look funny. I look at you funny if you don't shoot the ball well at Connecticut. They scheme you for some of the most wide open looks as a shooter. Like,
yep.
that looks funny to me. Matt Abel had to get his off of, what's my man's name? Qadir Copeland was passing the ball, but he had to watch Darian Williams, pound the ball, and
Booty ball.
yeah, yeah. He had to play booty ball, watching Darian Williams play booty ball. I think Matt
Yep.
Abel is, I just don't feel like there's a huge gap between him and Braylon Mullins. And if you look at like the numbers, if you want to do per 40 numbers, there's no gap. I think the only thing that you can say he does better is Braylon Mullins is he's a better playmaker out of pick and roll. But like, I thought Matt Abel was extremely good at the combine as well. He showed you he can make shots, he can put the ball on the ground. I personally thought that had he stayed in the draft, he was going to go no later than 35. And that was off of just a super small sample at NC State. So that's how I feel
All right,
about Matt Abel.
all right, rank them: Abel, Mullins, Arenas.
Abel, Mullins, Arenas in that order.
Okay.
But again, Arenas is more talented than both of them. Can you fix Arenas? Can he put it all together? He should be higher than them. Him being in that conversation is, I guess, like just lets you know what I think about his decision making and playmaking. But again, the best defender out of there should be Arenas. I think Matt Abel's a very good defender. The best shooter there is Matt Abel. Some people think it's Braylon Mullins. Mullins has the higher pedigree, but like I said, we can go pull up the 3SSB stats. Like there was no difference between the two of them as far as like Mullins and Matt Abel's like statistics at the Adidas level. But again, one
Okay.
guy, I mean, I think that the same people that have, I can't keep up. Some people think Mullins is the lottery pick. I don't have him in the lottery.
Right, ride with Doc in the comments says I went to USC versus Illinois last year. Wasn't too impressed with Elijah or Wagler, respectfully. Talking about Keaton Wagler. I'm sorry. I got to see who's on USC and UCLA's home schedule that's in the draft this year. I mean, they're in the Big Ten, so you're gonna see quite a few guys. I don't even think they've put out the regular season schedule yet, as far as just
Still
conference
figuring.
play. I've only,
Man,
yeah.
man, they still recruiting, man. What you mean schedule?
Yeah, yeah, they
We're
definitely.
using coins on in-home visits right now, man.
I've talked to a coach, and he's like, he said that they got a group of guys that are waiting to be eligible. He was like, no, it was. So I talked to a coach. He told me one thing. Then I talked to somebody that's like managing some of the players at a particular school. He was like, "Man, these guys didn't buy like rent apartments. These guys got houses with pools in the backyard, and they're waiting to be cleared by the NCAA. So
That's
this is
crazy.
a huge mess. And I've heard the stories of teams." Basically telling recruits that they didn't have any money. Now all of a sudden they have money. I've
You
heard
can
like,
go get money though. This is not
yeah,
like
there's
the
no
NBA where
no
you have a
no
salary cap.
salary cap.
Man,
Yeah, and
all it
even
take is one booster to be like, all
I
right,
got
man,
this.
you got to name the science hall after me, even though I have nothing to do with science. Here go 2 million, man. Go get player X. Like,
Or at the semester, you can go find somebody that's cooking in Europe. At least you
dang,
did last year.
I forgot
You
about that.
find somebody. All right. Here we go. We're gonna wrap it up with this. Based off today, August 17th, 2026, if the 2027 NBA draft were tomorrow, where do you feel comfortable taking Elijah Arenas? Are you going
Tw-
to penalize him for the rough freshman year, or are you going to draft him high based off of what you think he or who you think he can be?
I got him going 21 outside of the lottery. I'm not gonna penalize you for the rookie year, but or the freshman year, but I definitely saw it. And
Yeah, it's hard to unsee it.
yeah, I definitely saw it. I'm not gonna hold it against you, but I'm not gonna forget it. So I got him going 21. And again, that's based off of, just if he can if he can find the Karis LeVert switch, then that's a top 10 player. But as scheduled, this hard frame that he has right now, it's too much boom or bust. And I would be like, just look at I'd find a list of guys who in the NBA who have his same whatever reputation as basketball players. A lot of offense, a lot of tough offense, not a lot of playmaking, and follow their careers. How long have they been in the NBA? Are they still in the NBA? Sometimes it's not just, it was black and white as uh, you know, he can't hoop. Sometimes it's off the court stuff. Ignore that. Not ignore it. Actually do ignore it because he's a great kid. He's not gonna have the off the court stuff. But from a basketball standpoint, look at like, all right, Cam Thomas, all tough shots. He doesn't have a job right now.
I mean, I think some of it has to be some other stuff outside of
That's
just the
true too. And
shot
that's what I'm
selection.
saying.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm saying about Cam Thomas.
I mean, like, Christian Wood is an example. The guy, whenever he played, he put up numbers,
Yeah, but
but
it
for
wasn't
some
winning
reason,
basketball, man. It was 20 and 10, but if he gave up 25 and 15 on the way to 20 and 10, then what do we really gain? But that's
yeah,
not necessarily Elijah as because I think he can be a good defender. I'm just saying, as scheduled, as programmed, you're not a playmaker. You don't shoot off the dribble, or excuse me, you don't shoot off the catch, and you struggle at the rim. How many
It's a lot of
guys?
struggling.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. With all that struggle, look at NBA rosters and say, all right, who are guys with three levels of struggle who are still playing? How can I not be those guys?
All right.
I mean,
Last question
go ahead.
is, what is the highest you can see yourself taking him if everything clicks? Like for me, if everything falls in place, and I think it's going to be a lot of things that would have to change, I could see him as a top 10 guy.
I top 10 again. I feel like my pull up my notes real quick. I feel like my 9 are really strong. So 10 is definitely possible. And again, it's not, some of these kids are like I mentioned USC. I'm gonna keep mentioning some of these kids are on teams that are 2 and 3 deep at every position. Some of these, we talk about 19-year-olds. Not every 19-year-old is mature enough to be like, man, I'm I'm cool with this role that I'm in. Somebody's gonna be in the portal in November, right? Like it just
I mean, yeah, I think guys enter the portal in November, but some guys mentally
yeah,
they
yeah,
hit
yeah.
the
Mentally,
portal
yeah, yeah.
as soon as that first game comes and they're outside of the starting lineup, and
So
the portal makes it easier to do that. Before
yeah,
you had to be like, yeah, I don't know if I want to sit out this year. Let me go
right.
ahead and try to make this work.
Yeah,
So
that's
with
what I'm
that being
saying.
said,
Go ahead.
I mean, I think he could be a top 10 pick, but I just think so much has to fall in place. He has to be a better finisher at the rim. He has to be a knockdown shooter, in my opinion. If he's not going to be a knockdown shooter, then he has to be just like an elite bucket getter.
I don't want you to be an elite bucket getter.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
it's a
think.
situation where you look at the NBA now, like sometimes if that is like your label, that's the role that or that's kind of what they box you in to be, you have to be elite
Let me
because, and
ask you a
his
question.
dad, hold on, let me finish this.
Go
His
ahead.
dad has even mentioned it 100 times about his own story, how he was a bucket getter, but Richard Jefferson went higher than him. I mean, he's told that story multiple times. Now, Gilbert ended up having a better peak than Richard Jefferson, but it's almost like if you're a bucket getter, unless you're a guy like AJ, and I think that's not the norm. But for the most part, a athletic 3 and D role guy who can stand in the corner and knock down shots can have more value than a guy that whose game looks like he's suited to be featured. Because there are some guys I feel like if they're not going to be the best player on the team, then you have to push them all the way down to being like a six man because they may not, they're at their best when they're featured. And as far as like if they got another guy that's making, I was gonna say 100 million, but 100 million now is like a role player. You got another guy that's a max guy that's making 50 or 60 million dollars a year. You have to be a complimentary player, and I think a lot of times it's just easier to plug in a complimentary guy that's going to knock down threes, defend, it may be score in transition than it is to plug in a guy who is, like you said, heliocentric. Heliocentric.
I don't like that word. We'll call them bucket getters. All right. So I don't consider AJ DeBanza a bucket getter. I think this is really semantics, but he's
Yeah,
a
bucket getter.
scorer. He's a bucket getter, but it's not. Dang, he actually does kind of bog down the offense. That's different. AJ's
But he
different,
showed he could pass.
but he showed he could
He
pass. Yes, and he
he
was
definitely
one to
showed he
one,
could
I
pass.
believe. Yeah, he was 1-1.
Mhm.
But so you said this is what I'm saying. Look at these rosters, Elijah. You talking about a dude that's in the NBA who gets buckets, who's wired to get buckets. That's all he does is get buckets. The first name that pops up to my mind, and we'll throw Cam Thomas out because we'll say maybe it's something else with Cam Thomas. Not trying to speculate. I don't know. But Benedict Mathurin, who's he play for right now?
Technically, he's on the Clippers. I've heard the Pelicans, Bulls, and Bucks, and I don't know why the Bucks would be interested in him. They
Why
seem like they
why do
got some
any of
good
those
guys.
teams want him?
Um, I don't know, but you know,
So, but you see how
he,
you see where we are in the Benedict Mathurin experience, right? Now, I
yeah,
like Benedict Mathurin. I think there's a role for Benedict Mathurin type guys because I've mentioned before, maybe with you, Ralph, maybe last year when you was, in the big leagues, but those guys win you a quarter in the NBA playoffs, right? Where he had a quarter where it's hard to score in the playoffs, but this dude who is wired to score, he had a quarter where he got to the foul line 3 times and he had 2 buckets. He scored 10, and that's what put us over the top. That sustained the offense until the rest of the main guys got going. But the way that Benedict Mathurin plays, it's a lot of foul drawing, heavy, not too much playmaking, but really maybe not any playmaking. But if he has it, good. If he doesn't have it, what else do you offer? And Benedict Mathurin, who was playing in the NBA Finals 2 years ago, is now was he
Not even 2
unrestricted?
years ago. Not even 2 years ago.
Was it 2?
Like 15 months ago.
15 months ago, he scored double figures in the NBA Finals, right? Against Oklahoma City and all of them dudes that hack for Oklahoma City. And now you look at him here in August of 2028. He is, I believe, unrestricted.
I think he's restricted. He just
He's
shot
restricted.
20%. He shot just 20% from 3 last year for the Clippers, but he shot 37% from 3 with the Pacers without Halliburton. But yeah, I mean, he's in a situation to where he's probably getting a little nervous now because training camp is about to start. I mean, I know guys that are working out with their teams right now. And yeah, he's in an odd situation, and he scored 17 points per game, and he showed that he could score 17 points per game on a winning team. He scored 16 points per game on the Pacers team that went to the finals. So that's kind of scary if you think about
But
it.
you see how scary it can get in the NBA when you're just a scorer?
Yeah.
Like another one, all right, Jonathan Kuminga. He was at times there's the Hawks' second best offensive player, against the Knicks, who ran through and won the NBA championship. But I mean, Jonathan Kuminga he's labeled. They box him in as a guy who's only trying to score, not trying to do some of the other things in the margins. And we don't know where he's going to be at next year.
Yeah,
So
and Peyton
you got to
Watson
do
is going to
more.
get more money than both of them.
Who's that?
And Peyton Watson is going to get more money than both of them this offseason. And he really only had a 15-game sample size.
15-game sample
where
where he probably was like, yo, we don't need to come back. Mess up the money.
Well, that wraps up this episode of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your listen at 10 o'clock Central Time. We appreciate it. We're going to go live. I actually like this format. We're going to go live. It's going to be raw. No editing. Once I hit record, then it is what it is. But we're gonna put out some shorts for those who missed it. So thank you for staying up late. If you're on the East Coast, thank you.
Them dudes don't sleep on the East Coast, man.
Yeah, they do. This East Coast is.
Man. Nas told me it's a city never sleeps. It's full of
Yeah, but that's New York. I mean, the East Coast is like South Carolina too.
My fault.
You know what I mean? Yo,
my fault, homie, in Hartford, Connecticut.
People in Myrtle Beach right now.
West Coast is the best coast. Nah, man, that West Coast time zone is terrible, man.
Yeah, them football games.
I be waking up at 4:30 in the morning out there.
Well, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Again, we're coming at you every day, 10 p.m. Central Time. Love to interact with everyone in the chat. Once again, it's Rafael and James Barlow. Again, please subscribe. And we are out of here. Supposed to